Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies, a podcast where we discuss all things related to the Happier and Happier in Hollywood podcasts.
We're sisters
And superfans,
who can't get enough happier.
so we created our own podcast to keep the conversation going.
I'm Malika Amandi, a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a new mom, and an entrepreneur. I'm here with my sister, Azizi Williams.
That's me. I live and work in the LA area. I'm a not-so-new mom, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world.
So, Azizi, before we get into the show, we have to celebrate the fact that Liz and Gretchen know we exist.
Oh my gosh, they know us.
They know us.
They know us, Malika.
We sent an email to podcast@gretchenrubin.com and to happierInHollywood@gmail.com. And we were just overwhelmed to actually get responses from each of them. And just the most loveliest and most encouraging words. It was a dream come true. Our goal from the beginning is like, we're doing this for ourselves, but also wouldn't it be great if these podcast hosts that we've been following for years and years and years could enjoy this conversation as well?
It's amazing. I know they write back to people because they're talking about the letters that people send in their podcasts, but something about getting a response ourselves, I felt so seen.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I almost felt like, oh, we're done now. Now we can stop. But of course, we're just getting started. And Gretchen was so sweet to say that she listened to our podcast. I'm so appreciative of all of them. And of course, we thank them every episode because they inspire us. And on my 23 for 23 list, I've talked about this before, but I had write a letter to a hero. And I had no idea who that would be. And by sending this letter to them, I feel like I can cross that off my list now. And it feels so good to know that we have their blessing and they're aware that we're doing this alongside them.
I had the same thought of like, oh, we can now we can stop.
Yeah, kind of a relief. Oof.
But of course, the deeper thing is now we can really keep going, and how fun to know that they might be listening to any episode that we do.
Yeah, and a little bit of pressure now, Malika. We have to step it up.
Yeah.
Now that they're listening, we need to really make sure we are honoring what they put out there, all of their work.
Yes.
All right. Well, Malika, what happened in Happier this week?
On episode 454, Gretchen and Liz discuss a new gift-giving quiz that Gretchen created. They talk about the importance of double checking before you change locations, and they follow up with advice from listeners about how to make the best of time with a loved one who has a terminal illness.
Malika, I took Gretchen's gift-giving quiz for Daddy.
Oh.
And no surprise, turns out he's a connoisseur, so we could discuss that later in another podcast, what that means.
Well, I look forward to digging into that. Azizi, what happened in Happier in Hollywood this week?
So in Happier in Hollywood, this was episode 338, Liz and Sarah discussed their creative brainstorming process, the joy of connecting with neighbors, and they share the hack of singing when you need to share bad news. It was very interesting. But Malika, I have a story about the importance of knowing your neighbor.
Okay.
And by the way, kudos to you. You know your neighbors. You invite them over. I've met your neighbors.
You know my
events
neighbors.
at your house. I know your neighbors. You have a very neighborly neighborhood. And I think that Liz is right. That's like not a very LA thing. But
No.
I'm always surprised by how people introduce themselves to you and, how you just, your neighbors. So living, in LA, I live in Pasadena. I did not know my neighbors. I had lived in our house for about a year, and we went on a family vacation, and it was a lovely vacation. We went to San Francisco. We were gone like 5 days or so, maybe a little longer. When we came back, I walked inside the house, and there was a note that a police officer had been there.
Goodness.
And I was very surprised. Why was a police officer in our house? I was worried and called the number that they left. And it turned out we had left our garage door open
No.
for the trip. We were like, you know what? It's a road trip. You're throwing everything in there. You're so busy. And we just drove away. Garage door was wide open. And at some point, I don't know if police were called or if police were just patrolling. They walked into our house through the garage to shut the garage door.
Wow.
I realized right then, if I had known my neighbor and if they had my number, they could just call me. They could just text me and say, hey, we noticed your garage door's up. Should we close it for you? So the next day, I knocked on the door. I introduced myself. We exchanged numbers. Actually, there's an important reason to know your number. So that's just a cautionary tale in case there's an emergency like that. At least just have their contact information.
That's so true. They're really in a good position to help you if you're out of town.
Yeah, and I would do the same, so
Absolutely.
easy to do. So yes, I now know my neighbors. Okay, for this next segment called The Festival of, where we go into great detail about a particular subject, we are going to talk about our Thanksgiving tradition. It's the Festival of the Williams Family Thanksgiving tradition.
Yay!
Yay!
The origin story and the history of this tradition dates back 9 years. We were at a point in our family's life where we didn't have kind of the next generation. Our grandparents had passed away. There were no kind of familial ties keeping us in town. And we also noticed that Thanksgiving had gotten to be a very complicated holiday with the cooking in our parents' kitchen. It was quite stressful.
Yes.
There was a lot of feelings wrapped up into who was going to be cooking what and how long it would take and all of the kind of logistics of cooking in a small kitchen. And it wasn't really anything anybody looked forward to. In 2014, we had an experience of a family weekend beach trip to celebrate Azizi's birthday. A friend had a beach house that we were able to all go to. It was just a holiday weekend, but it was so nice. And we thought, this is really cool. What if we did this for Thanksgiving? And so we did. We rented a house, a beach house in Oxnard. And the family at that point, it was you and me, your two daughters, Ilea and Sinai, my mom and dad, and our Aunt Charlene and Uncle Lauren. We went Wednesday and we left Sunday. We all stayed at the house all weekend long. There was a much bigger kitchen. I think there were even 2 ovens.
Yes.
At the end of the weekend, when we all went home, we were like relaxed. We actually had gotten energy instead of been totally drained from that trip. That kind of solidified this is now the new normal for Thanksgiving. So we've had a couple years where we've done this in Palm Springs, and those have been nice, but the gold standard is the beach. There's nothing like the beach.
No, there's nothing like the beach. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. So it's so special. For a while, we even went back to the same house. We had probably about 3 or 4 years in a row when we were able to get to the same house.
That's right.
But now we move houses and we just find, whatever we can and whatever fits the bill. And of course, our families have grown now to include husbands.
Yes.
We've had to find larger houses. But basically, the components of this family tradition consists of 5 days of immersive family fun. We arrive on Wednesday, we have an orientation, maybe last minute trips to the grocery store to get whatever you need for Thanksgiving or for the week. Thursday, all day cooking together. It's like Thanksgiving Day. We're coordinating who needs to use the oven when. And interspersed in that is TV, movies, maybe a walk to the beach or a walk around the block to enjoy the ocean breeze. And then we have our Thanksgiving meal together, which is really lovely. On Friday, we usually wake up early, some portion of us, to do Black Friday. And we could do a whole other podcast about the Black Friday strategy. Some folks stay home and have like a movie marathon. We have Friday night games, like board games, and maybe more movies Friday night. Saturday is usually the day we go to the beach, we bring a picnic, and, we also do a family photo shoot where we
Yes.
coordinate the color that we're going to wear. Malika's husband, Norm, is a master photographer, and we just have a whole photo shoot on the beach. Then we have these gorgeous photos that document our family over the years. And then Sunday, we pack up and go home. That makes up the components of our time away together for Thanksgiving. And
what are some of your favorite memories from our Thanksgivings over the years?
First of all, Thanksgiving Day, like the morning of Thanksgiving, when we are, we're rested, we wake up, we always watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, or it's kind of on in the background, I should say, while we're cooking and kind of moving about the house. We watch the Westminster Dog Show, which dog is going to win. Everyone's really invested in that. And then we watch the Great British Baking Show and kind of catch up on that and maybe watch the last episodes while we're also cooking. So what we watch on Thanksgiving is a memory I have. I also have a memory, we laugh about this all the time, of the year. It was 2019, and Norm bought the game Pandemic. This is a group game where you're all on the same team and your job is to try to stop a global pandemic. This was in 2019. It was very complicated. There were like cards that you draw that either give you, immunity or a vaccine, or, that you have to talk with this other country's diplomat or something. And then you either win the game together or you don't. And newsflash, we did not win. We actually lost the game of Pandemic pretty quickly. And we all think back like, did we cause the pandemic? That was just a few months before, guys. No. Okay. No, but still. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the makers of that game, I wonder what they think now. Because who would make a game of this now, knowing what we know now?
I know.
It's a very complicated board game.
It's really hard to stop a global pandemic, it turns out.
Yes.
Not to make light of the pandemic, but it's just fascinating that occurred. And then, of course, I have memories of flying kites on the beach, my dad with my daughters, through all their ages. It's just really lovely to kind of sit back and watch everybody relax. What about you, Malika? Do you have any memories?
I think it's fun to note just the expansion of our family, as you mentioned, and remembering what a big deal it was when I invited Norm to come when we were still dating. And actually, even when Norm and I met, we met in November of 2017, and we were kind of texting and getting to know each other while I was at Thanksgiving. But then I remember when I brought him the next year, kind of how nervous that was. And I had never really brought a guy home. We didn't really have that dynamic in our family. It felt like a kind of a really delayed kind of thing to do in my 30s. But then I remember when you brought Grayson.
Yeah, in my 40s.
And how exciting it was. And like, oh, we're going to vet him.
Yeah, the first year he just came up, I think, for the day. But you had created the roadmap. And I saw like, okay, it's okay to bring in, your boyfriend. And this can work. And so now here we are with our larger family. It's very sweet.
Yeah. I think I also really love seeing my nieces grow up over the years. When we started, they were pretty young, and there had to be a lot of energy around kind of setting them up with activities and supporting them. And then there was a season where they were just like doing their own thing and on their devices, not really wanting to hang out. And then I feel like it's come around where they're really participating and cooking and involved in the family conversation. And it's just been really beautiful to see them grow up over this tradition.
Yeah, they look forward to it. And Sanaya just told me yesterday, I hope this tradition lasts forever. Like, oh, that's very sweet. We have a tradition. We're not the tradition type, I don't think, in other ways, but it's nice that we have this.
Yeah.
And they have definitely noticed and want to keep it going.
I do feel like we've been influenced by the Happier episode where they talked about create a standardized vacation. They talked about the value of having a vacation that you go back to the same place every time with the same people, and how something else can happen because you're not thinking about those details. and they're just set. So there's kind of room for other types of development and growth and ease because you've already decided the time and the place and the people. That has influenced our choice to always go back to the same beach, even if we can't get the same house, really keeping track of what it is that we're doing so that we can do it again the following year. Things change a little bit year to year, but when something works, we try to do it again.
Yeah, and it cuts down on decision fatigue.
Yes.
So we're not having to decide what's going to happen for Thanksgiving. You know, there are a lot of decisions that we get to make or tweaks within the frame that we've set for ourselves, but it does make it a more relaxing process.
Yes. One of my favorite aspects of our tradition is that we do a big debrief conversation on the very last day.
Yes. What worked, what didn't? My favorite.
I think this is one of the elements that really sets us apart from most families because most families will have Thanksgiving and then you move on, right? And that's it. It's just, it is what it is. But we really value the kind of sitting down and talking about different aspects, and we've built it into the schedule. So on the final day, before everybody goes their separate ways, we sit down, usually at a restaurant. I take out my laptop to take notes and we talk about the trip. First, we talk about our highlights and the memories. And then in a very methodical way, we go through the different components of the trip and talk about what worked and what didn't work. So the categories are usually the house, the food in general, Thanksgiving dinner, activities, and division of labor. I love that Sanai and Ilea have been participating in the debrief since they were 8 and 10. And
yes, they had opinions.
Yes, and everyone opinions matter. You know, I love that value. We really take it seriously to make notes about what was missed or what we should do differently. And I think that's how this has actually evolved into a really beloved tradition that everybody likes, because it does get better every year because we really design it that way. There's certain elements that weren't there from the beginning. We didn't always do the coordinated family photo. We didn't always do a kitchen orientation or house orientation, but from feedback and the debrief, we've incorporated new and different things to make it a better experience. And I remember the division of labor conversation. You know, it was clear that some people were doing most of the cleanup after the meals and not everybody was pulling their weight. And so we decided, okay, let's actually formalize this. When we set up our cooking chart, we're going to have a cleaning crew. And so now it's more equitable in that way, because I think that was one of the pain points of Thanksgiving before we did this trip, was who got stuck with the cooking and the cleaning, right?
Right.
And so now we have this format where we can really divide it up and talk about it and make sure that everybody feels like they're being supported or getting what they need.
I feel like this also was maybe something that came up in Happier. It's not just the vacation, but the planning for it and then the thinking about it after sort of extend the vacation feeling.
Yes.
That's what I find, is that leading up to it, looking at our debrief from the year before, you know, we have our family Zoom that we just had today to talk about what do we remember. People share memories inevitably as we're thinking about who wants to make what. And then afterwards, we get to debrief and think back on the trip. And, you know, then we have this document that solidifies what the experience was. I just love it. And I tell you, Malika, I tell people about it and they look at me like I'm crazy.
I know.
You do what? Yeah, after the like the last day, we pull out our Google Doc and then we all share. We go around what worked and what didn't. It sounds bananas, but it's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready-to-go online cart.
Oh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the Prep Dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family-friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, You probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So now, we had our family Zoom. We are planning for our trip this year. I have a few questions. First of all,
Yes.
Okay, so you are not in LA anymore, Malika. You are now, in Massachusetts, and my daughter's in college in Connecticut. And so we have that component to deal with. So we have the travel. You guys have to travel further to get here. And you have a baby with you. And so what's that going to be like? How's this all going to work we have a new family member we're incorporating into this Thanksgiving tradition. So that's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And the other question I have is, how are we going to make it all work because we have less time? Your family and my daughter have to fly back on Saturday. So we have to zhuzh things a little bit to try to get the most important components in the trip. I have questions about that, how that's going to feel or change the feel of the trip.
Yeah, it's going to be a milestone year. Yeah, because of those different factors. I think if we can go in with having the expectation, this is a feel it out year, it's going to feel differently. Some things might not work as well. And then knowing that we can adjust for next year. But there's really no way to know until we go through it. I love Sanai's sentiment of, I hope we do this forever.
Yeah.
I feel that way too. And I think it's interesting. This was the first year where we really had to think, are we going to go? Are we going to do it? Because it is not convenient. Last year, my son was only a month old, so we kind of knew we weren't going to do it for that reason. But now it's like, okay, we could go. It is expensive to fly 3 people across the country. I'm working again. I've got to take extra time off. I have a lot of questions about the house and having a 1-year-old and this beach rental house. Is it going to be baby friendly? There's a lot of sticking points where it could feel much easier to just stay home. But on the other side, I don't know how long we're going to be able to all do this. And I do really want to have those memories and that sense of family and connection. We don't have other times of the year where we really gather in this way, where everybody is together for multiple days. I think that's really precious. And I feel very strongly, we need to just commit to that and protect it.
Well, I'm so glad you did.
Gretchen always says that there's an element of happiness that's about doing what's right versus doing what feels good. Or it's not, what makes you happy doesn't always make you feel good. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay.
No,
it's like there's part of happiness that comes from doing the right thing. And this is definitely one of those moments. I feel that when I'm there, we are also going to have a lot of joy and it will make me feel happy. But I think rolling up our sleeves to say, okay, yes, we're buying these tickets. We're going to do it. We care. We want to invest in this part of our life and our family. I'm looking forward to it.
We did Thanksgiving without you and I hosted at my house. And I'm not going to say it was sad, but it wasn't the same. And I really missed you. And I hadn't yet met my new nephew, and I did not want to face that again. But if I did, it was going to be at the beach. So, we went all in anyway. Didn't know if you were going to be able to make it or not. And the fact that you're coming and you made the sacrifice is fantastic, because it's not just any week. It's Thanksgiving week. This is a really special week.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving means something in our culture and in our country, and how you spend it and who you're with and what you're eating. It really means something. It's not just any week of the year. So again, I'm so grateful that you made the sacrifice. It's going to be fantastic no matter what, because we're at the beach and everything's great at the beach.
Everything is great at the beach.
Right?
Last year, or I guess 2 years ago when we were there, we saw dolphins in the water, which was so beautiful and fun. And there's something about being so close to the water, just seeing it. It's so calming.
But Malika, my most important question is, will we finish a puzzle?
I don't know.
Is this the year that we actually finish a puzzle?
I don't know. I don't remember when the puzzle started. It wasn't from the beginning, but one year somebody brought a puzzle, and it was this really cool unifying activity that everybody participated in, when they were in the kitchen or after meals. I think we almost finished the puzzle that year. Everybody was committed to it.
Yeah.
Now, in subsequent years, we've made it mandatory. We have to bring a puzzle. But I gotta say, last year, the puzzle participation was really weak.
I don't
Norm
know
was really
why.
committed, and then I was helping
He
him, but
was.
I started to fall off. I remember trying to get our nieces involved, and they were just like, no way, I'm not touching that puzzle. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened. Norm and I were talking about it earlier today about the puzzle. Is there going to be one? And he was just kind of like, ugh, no.
His puzzle opinion is, ugh, no.
Because he was abandoned. He was doing it all himself.
Okay. All right. That's dramatic. That's very dramatic. I don't think he was abandoned. I think we need to just go down in
This is
pieces.
true.
Like, I think the pieces are too small. I think we need to do like a 50-piece puzzle. Let's start there. I think we need to have some
Okay.
success and then build from there. So I would say let's try it one more time with a very easy puzzle. These 500 and the 1,000-piece puzzles are not
Yeah.
happening.
I think the last one was 1,000 pieces, which that is a lot.
Yeah, that's too many. That's too many
So
pieces.
maybe we just have like 200-piece puzzles, and then you could
Yes. Oh, that
do
sounds good.
multiple ones like over the course.
Right. Yeah, maybe. Let's start with one 200-piece puzzle. And maybe that's what we do Wednesday night. That's our activity. We just got in. Let's just put it out right away. It's just got to come out right away. We've got the mat now.
All right.
Okay. I feel good about the puzzle this year. I think we're going to finish it.
Are we going to do the favorite things list?
I want to. I really like the favorite things. That's a list where we ask every participant there to just list what are they loving right now. What are some of their favorite things this year? And what's nice is that we get to see how that list evolves. And I have the lists of my girls over the past few years. This is something else that we incorporated maybe about 4 years ago.
From Happier.
From Happier? Really?
It was a suggestion on Happier to make a list of your favorite things with your family.
Is everything we do from Happier?
Maybe.
Well, it certainly makes me happier. And I have framed their lists and I put it out with the holiday decorations from when they were younger.
Aw.
And it's very sweet. So not everyone is into it all the time, much like the puzzles. It takes some wrangling, but I feel it's worth the effort to try again.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about it?
I think it's really practical. I'm thinking about gifts for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's really nice to know what people's favorite things are.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we discussed in episode 7 around having a list of 12 things about yourself that make you unique.
Right.
It seems mundane when you're writing it, but when you get to read somebody else's, it's such a window into who they are. And there's enough items on the list that you really can learn something about someone. So I enjoy hearing 25 things that my dad is into right now.
All right. Well, let's try again. And this year, nobody can put down family members because I feel like that's cheating. It's always like, oh, my husband or my wife. Okay, let's just we all love. They're our favorite things. We're each other's favorite things. So I'm gonna take that off the table this year.
I'll support you.
Thank you. So now it's time for peaks and valleys, because in life there are always peaks and valleys. Even episodes, I do a peak and Malika does a valley. This is an even episode, so I will go first.
What's your peak, Azizi?
Norm's Seasonal Vibes YouTube channel. Malika's husband Norm this week started a YouTube channel and it is fantastic. So apparently it snowed last week in Massachusetts and Norm took it as an opportunity to film ambient footage. It's like aesthetic ambient footage of outside their house looking out at the farm that's across the street, and the snow is just falling and there's lo-fi beats behind it. It goes for like 30 minutes. Some of them are 2 hours, and each episode is just a different place in their house looking outside at some lovely bucolic atmosphere. It's so amazing. I feel like I'm at your house. I feel like I'm there with you enjoying my cup of coffee looking out the window at the field. What a great idea. And I'm so glad that Norm put it out there. It's now available for anyone to watch. If anyone would like to kick back and look out at some seasonal fall weather, you can do so at Seasonal Vibes channel, Vibes with a Z.
We'll link it in the show notes. I love those videos in general, just like ambiance videos on YouTube. I like to have them on in the background whenever I'm doing work at home. And Norm has often kind of looked at them and kind of smirked or been like, I could do that. And, that's somebody just set up a camera. And I was like, okay, well then do it. And then he did.
And it looks so professional. And it is your
Yeah.
house. It's amazing. I will say the last video, I became obsessed with the cars, and it seemed like the cars were all going in one direction for a while. And then maybe an hour or two, some started going the other way, but it's still lovely. And like I said, I feel like I'm at your house, but I think anyone would enjoy it. Just if you want something in the background when you're working or, going about your day at home. What's your valley, Malika?
So my valley is connected to the seasons as well. And it's just that it's getting darker earlier. Today, when we're recording this, is the end of daylight savings. And it's a bummer. I just got to put it out there. I'll get used to it, but I can't even fathom. It's so new to me, the cold anyway, but to go to work and then leave work when it's dark and it's cold, that just feels like a lot to ask of people.
You're spoken like a true LA girl. You're right. It is a lot to ask of people.
Yes. So I will adjust. There is something kind of nice and cozy about it when you're home and, we're getting some firewood. We're going to start having fires. And so there's a positive side in the hygge element, but I just got to say it's a little bit of a bummer when you're losing daylight.
I agree with you. 100%. I wish I could do something about it, but it is a time to turn on the light, like the hygge, like you said, get all your twinkle lights on, get your candles, go back to Yankee Candle Company and pick up a few extra, to sprinkle around the house, because that's what you get to enjoy now is that ambient light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. Azizi, what are you going to try this week?
I am going to try to do the 200-piece puzzle at Thanksgiving. Okay, it's not this week, but I'm going to really put my effort and energy into said puzzle over Thanksgiving. And Malika, what about you? What are you going to try?
Okay, I just want to say that's recorded. That's out there. So
I said try. I am going to try to do the 200-piece puzzle. I don't want Norm to be alone. I don't want him to give up or to not want to return to it. So for Norm, I'm going to put some effort in. Okay. What about you, Malika?
I will take your advice and try to bring up some candles from the basement. So I have the electric candles that we use in our holiday decor. I think it would be a good time to just start putting those out and around. November's going to go by quickly. We're going to be out of town. And then when we come back, it's almost time for Christmas decorations.
It's full Christmas when we get back.
It's not a bad idea to just start putting some of those lights out now for that transition time.
Do you know who else does that, Malika?
Who?
Disneyland. They slowly bring out Christmas while fall is still there. And there are lots of people tracking all the Christmas fall convergence.
That's funny. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode. If you like us, rate, review, and tell a friend.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com and tell us something you liked about Happier and Happier in Hollywood this week.
Our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
We also want to give a special shout out to Gretchen Rubin, Liz Kraft, and Sarah Fain for inspiring our conversation each week.
You can find us on Instagram at happierladies and on the web at happierladies.com.
Have a happier week, Malika.
Have a happier week, Azizi.
Bye.
Bye. What are you going to try this week?
Is there something to try? I don't know that we need to do that part.
What did
Unless
we
I want to
talk
say,
about?
okay, I can say something about Thanksgiving.
All right.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.